Hi, my name is Dolly Wittman. I am the president of Caring Transitions Kansas City, and we serve families in Kansas and Missouri. I am actually a certified relocation and transitioning specialist. And what that basically means is that I have been trained, background screened, have insurance requirements, and a lot of continuing education to make sure I'm up to date for my clients. So if you're listening to this or seeing this, you probably are going through a transition yourself or have a family member that is. And that might be something such as cleaning out a family home or simply downsizing from one location to another. So the first step with Caring Transitions is we help families that may want to stay in their home through a kind of a decluttering process. And that's for someone's comfort and safety. And it's also to develop a long-term plan so that once that first step is done, we know what the next step is for the family. And that can start as simply as cleaning out closets, drawers, basements, the attic, or the garage. And what that actually can entail is we want to make sure there are no fall hazards there. We also want to make sure if there's any safety modifications that need to be made, we can work with a company to get that taken care of in the actual home. And really, like I said, that is the first step in making sure that the person we're dealing with is 100% safe and 100% in control of what's actually going on in their home so that they can make good decisions and have a follow-up plan. We can also ship items to family members if that needs to be done, donate, recycle, shred documents. Again, it's about having a plan. Now, most of our clients have actually decided to downsize. And that can be due to dietary, medical, socialization, or they simply have realized that whether it's one person or a couple, the family home isn't necessarily the best place for them to be living anymore. Once they consider the expenses of living there, such as their taxes, insurance, upkeep, maintenance, there's just a lot of costs involved, and a smaller location may be actually better for them. So what we do then is we help the client, if they've already found the location, that's fine. If they need some help comparing locations, we can do that as well. And then we go into the home and we can do a floor plan. And once we know where they're moving to, we can do measurements, take pictures, and help them develop a safe floor plan with their items that they're actually moving, or help them get new items if that's what they need as well. Once we have actually done the floor plan, then we can obviously downsize them, pack them. I help use with a professional moving company, and then we can unpack them. And then obviously the last step is what to do with what's left. We're also estate sale professionals, so we can help the family get the most out of their leftover possessions. And then the house is empty at the end of the sale and it's ready for market, or if it's already sold for the new family. So an example of a client that we've recently had was I got an email from a daughter who lives out of state. And she was a bit concerned because when she had come home a few months earlier, some of the repairs around the home didn't seem to be actually getting done. And Mom had a few health issues, but she was still perfectly fine and loved living where she was living. So the daughter had asked me to come in and meet with her and her mom and just kind of maybe get a game plan going. And when I arrived, obviously the mom was just told 10 minutes before I arrived I was coming, and she was not very happy to see me, didn't look probably her best, and was still in her pink robe. So she was not very happy to see Dolly with Caring Transitions, and she kind of told me that. And I told her, you know what, I am just here to try to facilitate, advise, and offer suggestions, and if we can help, fine, and if we can't, then that's fine as well. I just really wanted to let her know that she's 100% in charge of what happens. We're just there to help. And, she really said, I don't want to move. I have no interest in moving. I love my home. All of my friends are here. My bank is here. My church is here. And while I still drive, I don't drive a lot, but, I get out here and there, but my friends don't get out as much as, we used to. And because of her health concerns, that was another reason she did not want to relocate, because she already knew her doctors in her area. And what I determined, really the best step is to say, you know what, if you want to move, or if you thought you wanted to move in 6 weeks, 6 months, a year, whatever the case might be, what do you think you would actually need help with? What would stop you from making that next transition? And obviously her daughter had already been talking to her about it, because her comment was she pretty much came up with a list pretty quickly of what she needed help with. And that was everything from getting the trees trimmed to the attic cleaned out. Her husband, who had passed, his office cleaned out. She needed some things shipped to family members. And she just really said, you know what, there's too much to do. I am really overwhelmed, and I don't want to burden anybody, my family or friends. And really, I'm scared to move, and what if I simply don't like where I move to? And there's actually something called relocation stress syndrome, and it's very common for everyone, but it's even more common and a lot harder on an adjustment facet for older families. It affects many people, but the main reason is because, again, it's not thought out. There's not a plan in place to know, what are we doing today, what are we doing tomorrow, what are we doing 2 years from now. So I asked her if we could just schedule one day, and it would just be her and I wouldn't bring any of my employees, it would just be her and I. And we would sit down and work on her number one item that she needed help with. And she determined that that was her husband's office. So I set up an appointment a couple weeks later, and I just told her, I said, okay, we're just going to go through the office at your pace. We went through it. It went very smoothly. And as I told her, if we were still talking at the end of day one, then we would schedule another day with maybe some more help. And, it's amazing how much we got accomplished, because when I'm working with someone, or even with one of my employees, is if you're, number one, paying someone to be there, but obviously you're focused. You don't go read your email, you don't answer the phone, you don't take a nap, you don't have a snack. There's just no distractions there, because you're really trying to stay focused on the task at hand. So then we scheduled a second meeting, because she did kick me out, and we called the landscaper and had some trees trimmed, had a dumpster brought in, because she did have a 5,000 square foot house, and she had some catch-up trash, as we call it, to take care of. And then obviously we recycled what we could, as well as paint, had a shredding company come in to take care of legal documents, taxes, paperwork, because they did also own a family business. So a lot of those things couldn't just go into recycling, they actually needed to be shred. And I always tell people, contrary to popular belief, you can't have too many twist ties and empty Cool Whip and butter dishes. So I always tell people, do keep that in mind when you're in this downsizing process. And then we really worked on a list for her of the next step. What was she going to move? And one thing I always caution family members on is, your treasures are not necessarily your children's treasures. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just simply making sure your children understand why something is important to you, but to also understand that their lifestyle may be different than yours, their tastes may be different, styles certainly change, and it's just really a good time to make thoughtful decisions about what you're letting go of. So we had a third meeting, and at that time we kind of separated what she was moving, what would be left for the sale, and then came up with a game day plan on her moving, because she was already going to be on a plane with her daughter leaving the state, and we were going to be left there, which is very normal, to take care of the move process. If we had actually been relocating her here locally, we would have then done an unpacking and resettling, with everything being unpacked and put away where it belongs as well. In her case, we obviously weren't doing that. Lastly, we did then go ahead and have an estate sale for her. Her proceeds from the sale covered most of the costs of us downsizing and packing her, which eliminated some of her fears of actually, downsizing in the first part. Once we had the sale, the remainder of the items, which there weren't a lot, ended up going to a local charity. We swept and vacuumed the house. And then the house sold very quickly to a neighbor's nephew, who had actually come over to the sale and knew that the house was perfect for him and his young family. Now, obviously, not all of our families need that much help from us. Some families just need one piece of it. Some people need 4 hours. Some need hundreds of hours. And we really tailor-made what we do for those families, because we want to consider their needs, their budget, and their timeline. And we have also dealt with a lot of families in hoarding situations. So we do a free in-home consultation, so that we can really see where a family's at and where they may like to be. And we have been in business for about 6 years now, and we have a network of professionals, so that there's really no facet of what a family might need that we cannot handle, or refer them to a trusted professional to handle. And we really see our job here at Caring Transitions is to reduce stress and maximize results. We have a care plan for families. The C stands for comprehensive services, the A stands for asset relocation and management, and the R is the relocation services. And the E is the excellent professionals that we are ourselves as well as who we work with. So I would just like to close and say again, my name is Dolly Wittman with Caring Transitions Kansas City. And I always say when you're worried about your next transition, just remember to say, hello, Dolly.